Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the TBScouts Talking Head Show. I'm your host Boris, my co-host
Eric Talley.
and we have another special guest lined up. Another high school coach from outside of the city of San Antonio, outside of the city. So Tally, I'll go ahead and let you introduce our guest.
Yes, all the way from Del Rio, Texas, Del Rio High School basketball team, Coach Joe Nieto. Welcome aboard, Coach.
I'm Joe Nieto, and I'm starting my 8th season as a head basketball coach here at Del Rio High School, and actually been coaching for about 20 years now, and been in education for about 21. So basketball has been pretty much a part of me since I was young, about 4 years old. So it's been I've been around it for a while.
So did you coach there in Del Rio the whole time, or did we move around? Where else have you coached?
Coaching Del Rio, pretty much. I was born and raised here, and started here at the 7th grade level actually, and then just kept moving up, and then the right opportunity came up, and now I've been the head coach here for 8 years, starting my 8th season, as I mentioned.
So is that a trend for you guys as far as high school coaches to start in the middle school rankings? Because I believe you're like the third or fourth coach that we talked to already that started off in the middle school and then worked his way up to the high school. Is that the way we're supposed to do it?
I'm not sure how it is, but I know when you're from a town about the size of ours, it's like that. You got to pay your dues, man. Start somewhere with the young ones, and keep working up.
Well, since we're talking about where you're from and everything, in Del Rio being west of about, was it about 2.5 hours west of San Antonio, and I looked and I was looking on the map. I see that there's an Air Force base out that way.
Right, it's Laughlin Air Force Base. That's correct. If I'm
Okay.
not mistaken, it is the highest or the biggest training Air Force base that exists at this moment in the nation.
Okay. Well, do you guys, since you're that close proximity, do you have any players actually from the Air Force Base that go to school there in Del Rio?
At the moment, currently no, but we do every once in a while, since it's a pilot training base. A lot of the move-ins are younger, so not much family or anything like that, but or with high school age kids. But every once in a while, yes, we do. We do get some players that come in and either do football, basketball, or track, or all three.
Well, since we're on the topic of talking about the military town there, as far as the base there, I know like Cole and Randolph, they tend to have some pretty decent athletes coming from their military base. Do you guys, when those kids do play for you, are they standouts? Are they guys that's really, really, or girls that's really, really good or talented?
Usually they are, yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, coach, I looked at your record and I was just looking at some things and seeing how well you guys have done in the past. And you're not, I noticed you're not a stranger of the playoffs, even though you had a little, you missed it a few times in the past there in what, 20 and 21. I'm probably sure that's probably COVID because I saw your record. The numbers didn't match up as far as you had like maybe only played like 8 games or something like that. So I probably understand, and that's probably why you did miss the playoffs or just this wasn't allowed for you to make it. But let's talk about last year's playoff run, and you guys went against that powerhouse Warren over there. Can you elaborate on that, or how was it?
That was fun. It was exciting for our kids. It was exciting for the community. As I mentioned, Del Rio is a small community, and man, I think our side of the gym was completely packed. Playoffs happen around here in any sport, and I think they're going to close the town just so people can make it out there. And it was an exciting atmosphere. It was exciting to watch uh, Warren when they were warming up and whatnot. As a matter of fact, we just saw them this past weekend at that I-35 showdown, and they're top caliber team, something that we look to, and we just try to play at that level. So being in that game was just something phenomenal. Having a lead in that game, and it was even extra special. It's just for us. It was amazing to just be a part of. I don't remember his name, but he's back again his senior year, and he looked way. He looked very, very, very special this past weekend. Jalen, I don't remember his
Yeah,
last name.
Jalen Crocker Johnson.
Crocker Johnson. Yes, that guy is amazing. The guards and the players he was surrounded with last year were amazing. And again, I paid attention to him since they were our first round opponent last year, and They look special again. So to play in a game against somebody like that and against a team like that with a great coach like Coach Smith like that, for us was just special. It was just amazing, and to be competitive was our goal. To try and pull out the opposite was the ultimate goal. We fell short there at the end, but I think our kids competed well and we learned a lot from it and we're able to grow from that game heading into this season.
We're going to change gears a little bit since you mentioned the I-35 showdown. I was going to talk to you after we go through some things, but I'm looking here, man. You played some pretty tough games this weekend. Also, I see you were one of the teams that had three games. Looking on your schedule, you played at Laredo United South, Veterans Memorial, and Cornerstone. How how do you think the players improve playing three tough teams like that?
First off, before you answer that, Coach, what was y'all's record for the weekend? Those 3 games.
Went 1-2.
We were 1-2,
Yep, 1-2.
right?
And again, you played three tough games. How's that record? Or excuse me, how was the atmosphere? How did you think that your guys improved?
I think overall we learned again, since we're so far away and so secluded from everything, our open gyms don't look, say for example, like that gym looked this past weekend or last weekend for that matter. So any time we can get in a tournament like that and just play quality competition as we did, we can get better in many areas. We did find a lot of say things we can work on the defensive side. I feel we got better offensively as we were more in tune into execution in this weekend. Of course, that Veterans Memorial game was a little different. Their pace was something else. So, yeah, they just took that game to a whole nother level. But other than that, we kind of grew in the aspect where, our kids were actually talking about, hey, we need to hold on our own. We need to go run some more. Or we need to go put up shots on our own. So I think as individuals and as a team, they're coming together knowing, yes, we can compete at a higher level, but now let's do it consistently.
So that's awesome that you said your players are the ones who identified that. And I think that's letting you know that you have a really good team following you and following your lead. Who are your real standouts though from that team? Who are you guys that you feel like, hey, this guy understands what we're trying to do? Because you mentioned that. Which ones are the ones going to lead you this year?
From the guys that are active right now that are not doing any other fall sports, uh, which were there the past couple of weekends, we got our point guard, Brandon Kerr. He's not new to the program. He is new to the varsity level. He played on JV last year, but he's he's replacing a 2-year varsity guy that led us for 2 years. And I think he's done a phenomenal job of just stepping in and being that leader by example as far as in the weight room, in the gym or whatnot. We also have another one, Alessandro Elizondo. He's a sophomore. They're both underclassmen. One's a junior, one's a senior. I'm sorry, one's a junior, one's a sophomore. And Alessandro, his work ethic is just something else. He comes in and he'll put up shots and he'll do different workouts or whatnot. Both of these guys are working out on their own as well after school hours. So those two guys are leading us, but we do have another on the football field who does football, basketball, and track. That guy's Alan Dobbins. He's a junior. He's about 6'2", and he's not with us at the moment, but he's the vocal one out of the three. He leads by example as far as workouts go, and then he's not afraid to get vocal. He's not afraid to step on your toes if need be to get you on the right page. So I believe it's a positive thing. The leadership is going to come from 3 underclassmen, and hopefully, God willing, we'll have them again next year after this.
Real quick, Coach, can you talk a little bit about the leadership and being vocal? Like you said, I think players underestimate. I mean, I don't want to speak for every player or put them in a class or whatever, but how important is it for there to be a leader on the floor, like telling the other players what to do? I think sometimes high schoolers don't want to like be that guy that seems like he's out there acting like a parent or whatever, but every successful team needs somebody to like take the rest of the guys by the reins and call them out when they're doing something wrong or if they see something, an opportunity on the court. So can you just speak for a minute on the importance of, number one, just the team talking when they're out there playing and how important it is and like how a player should be when he's a leader leading the team?
I feel communication. That's one thing that we're trying to drive home here, since we do have some of our guys out right now. The groups that are the guys that are left for us here playing in the fall, they're not very vocal. So on the defensive end, where I feel communication just needs to be big, there hasn't been much. But this weekend, we saw signs of that coming alive life with these guys. So, which for me made me excited. Yeah, I didn't want to go 1-2, but I take the positives and I look at it, man. You know what? They were communicating. They were talking, hey, switch, or hey, I'm hedging, or whatnot. And to me, that was big. And again, outside of that Veterans Memorial game, it just played dividends for us. We were pretty competitive in the other two games, and it really helped us. It really helped us establish a defensive presence that we hadn't had there outside of these past 2 weekends. So at least from the group that has been left now, going into the vocal leader that we've been needing, we had that from the 3 seniors that graduated. All 3 of them started for 2 years. One of them started for 3 years, and they weren't afraid to get vocal. They weren't afraid to kind of push the team in the right direction, motivate them, and when they had to, step on toes, they weren't afraid to do that neither. So it's very important, I think, to create the culture, to create the atmosphere, the energy in the gym, to be able to have that vocal guy who's not afraid to just step out and get out of that comfort zone and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to be that guy. And we do have that in a couple of guys now, and it's starting to show.
Cool.
Well, I remember when we played you guys, when Cole played you, I think it was last week, a week before. I liked how you guys run the floor, and I did see that what you're talking about, the young guys talking, and you were a very vocal team. You were very fast, get out there and run. Is that something that you guys work on to be your strategy to say, hey, man, we're going to just run up and down the court and just be the best in shape guys, or is it just something they want to do? Because I know small ball.
That's something that we do. Actually, you said small ball. We went out to a tournament out west. I believe it was Abilene a couple years ago. They had some guys, 6'8", 6'6", 6'5". We don't have that, and we're very aware of that, and we just plan around it, and we drive that point home from the moment they're in 7th and 8th grade and they come into the program, and we tell them we're never going to be that team, and we're not going to be the tallest, the biggest, probably not even the most talented, but we got to overcome that somehow and be competitive in some other way. So we do try to get out and run, and we do try to just try to catch teams by surprise if they overlook us, to where we can make it a competitive game and hopefully pull off an upset against a team we shouldn't have beat. That was the game plan. Just going back to that Warren game, that was a game plan going back to that Warren game. I said, man, if we set up half court, say sets, we're going to get beat. There's no way we can compete with that. However, we can get them to come out and try to play our tempo, we might have a chance at the end. And that's just what we try to do. We just try to get up and down, try to execute at a faster pace, and see if we can do it consistently and do it for 32 minutes. And in the end, just have a chance to win against teams maybe we wouldn't have beat or wouldn't have had a chance with, if it came down to just matching down, player for player, height for height. We're never going to be that team that has a 6'8", 6'9" guy. If we do, man, I wouldn't know what to do.
Well, now that you mentioned that, in reference to, we kind of talked a little bit about other players playing other sports. Do you encourage that at all, being a 6A school? I know a lot of the 3A guys that all of them mentioned that they do encourage it. Do you encourage your guys to play multiple sports?
We don't tell them not to. We're a 6A school, but at the same time, we don't have the, say, big numbers like normal 6A schools do. So, for example, the Alan Dobbins, he's out there and he helps the football team in a positive way. He's one of the top receivers. He comes over here and he's one of our better players. So and again, that vocal leader that we need. Then he goes to track and he does high jump. If I'm not mistaken, it's high jump that he does, and he's pretty good at it. So if the guy can handle it or whatnot, yeah, we encourage it to the point where, man, if you're going out there and you're being productive and you're helping the other sport, man, go for it. We have a cross country runner right now who he's I think 3rd or 4th on a cross country team. So if they're going to be productive and they're going to go out there and help the team be successful, man, why not? Go out there and do it.
Okay, so let's talk about this upcoming year's schedule. Your preseason is so far. I know you played 2 preseason events. You played. Shout out to Tim Littlefield and also Antonio with Alamo City Hoops, and I think both of those you did well in both of those. So with that being said, what's on schedule now until the time actual basketball preseason starts?
Yeah, and just to break it down for some of our viewers too, Because we do. When do you guys actually start playing?
November,
Like season
correct?
games.
If I'm correct.
The first day is October 26th, and we start November, if I'm not mistaken, it's 12th.
Okay.
November 12th. So just to kind of clarify, Tally's question, we do have about a month and a half, right, before you guys kick off. So just for our viewers, just that we know, we got a month and a half before the season kicks off. And then his question is like, what are you guys doing? So
Yeah. What other preseason events are we doing?
We're actually heading back to San Antonio on the 15th again. So that's in the plans to come back and do that. And we're trying to find something on October 8th. So trying to give these guys a break because since we're so far from everything, once the season starts, we're pretty much traveling once or twice a week. And every tournament that we get into will be out of town. It'll be a 2-3 night trip. So here for a couple next couple of weeks, we're gonna give them a break, and then we get busy again a couple of weeks before we start the season, and then give them another week or two right before we get started with the tryouts or whatnot, and go from there.
All right. You got something? Go
I
ahead.
got another just something to maybe elaborate on is it seems like this year I'm seeing like more schools playing in like those fall ball type of events and leagues, which in the past it had seemed like a lot of schools weren't really participating in as many events, and I don't know why they. I mean, I'm sure there's a good reason, but there was nothing like there's no law that says you guys can't play in anything and you have to wait all the way until November, before you start playing. And I think it's great to see high school teams playing together in any tournament, especially when there's good tournaments like the one that happened this past weekend. But what's your viewpoint on that, and what other events have y'all done since the school year has started? Because we just had the Alamo City Hoops one. You mentioned the Tim Littlefield event, so that's two. But like, what other events have y'all played in since since school started up until now?
These were actually our I would say, I guess, official first two that we've done. Uh, Unofficially, we started doing where here at home, we just started inviting some guys that get out and play, or former players that probably were still around and were playing. We told them, hey, get a couple of teams. We'll do like a little open court on this day. And we got about 3 or 4 teams there. We actually got a team out from the base, and a couple of players that came out from there. It was fun. When we first started playing with them, the scores were pretty lopsided. Here at the end, we were able to sneak out one win and narrowly lose the 2 other games. So in the end, the ultimate goal is get better, and that's why I push for our guys that are not doing any other sports. Hey, you know what? Let's get out and play some more tournaments, some more games. Let's try to close that gap that we normally wouldn't be able to if this wasn't being available for us teams to get into. So it's really for us just a blessing in disguise to just be able to go out there, and when the parents buy in and they allow them to participate, it really helps us. It really helps us prepare for the upcoming season.
Yeah, I just think it's awesome. It's great. Kudos to you for participating in those events, giving your players something to do on the weekends and something to do before the season kicks off. So, thanks.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and look at this non-district games, coach. Hey, man, you big timing right now. You big time. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. And the only reason why is because I know all the teams you're playing. Of course, I know Southwest, Coach Stu over there. I know Judson, East Central. You're playing South San, Southwest Legacy. Hey, that's some good competition right there before the
Well,
season starts.
and the way I look at it is, if the goal is to get better, you got to play the better teams out there. You got to, at least those that are able to either make the trip to Del Rio, or either accommodate us into the schedule. Because I know there's a lot of teams out there that normally we try to get a game scheduled with, and they're not able to travel this way, or they're not able to get us in because they won't be able to return the game the following year. And I'm completely aware of that, and very respectful to them for even entertaining the thought of playing us. But I think that helps us in the long run. It helps us to prepare. If you're going to play a team like Warren in the first round, or say O'Connor or Holmes, or anybody out of that district, Taft, anybody, Brennan, those teams, I think you need to start preparing early, and not let it be, say, a shock to your team once you get there. Can't get surprised with the athleticism, the level of play, the level of talent, that's out there. And I think that's to me, that's just how we do it. We got to play those teams out there. Coach Lopez out at Judson, we've been playing for him since I started as head coach, and he became the head coach. I think my first year we played Coach Wacker, and we play those teams, and to us, it's like that's a top-notch team, and we're just trying to compete. And if we can compete with those teams, I think it helps us to better compete in our district. Our district's pretty tough, so I think you just got to get with me. Let's schedule tough, and let's get out there and see what we can do.
Go ahead.
And kind of jumping back, so you name these schools like your school in San Antonio. It almost sounds like you're from San Antonio when you mentioned Taft and Holmes and Warren and Judson, which all of those, and Brennan looks really good this year. All of those schools were in the gym yesterday for that I-35 high school showdown. When your team is going into the gym and you just see these different teams, like what's going through your mind? And because when the players see that now, like even though they may not have gotten the chance to play all of those teams, they can see just what the teams look like what's going through your mind, and how are you trying to like coach the guys to pay attention and kind of look at the competition and stuff like that?
As far as those schools from the Northside district, that's our first round opponent. So, like for example, we were able to catch a Holmes game. I don't remember who their opponent was, but we were, all I tell them is, hey, you know what? We make the playoffs. That may be a first round opponent. So just look at them and see their personnel. Just start paying attention to them early. So, preparation I think is key, and just being aware of what's out there, I think really helps. So as we're coming in, always ultimate goal, and I actually think that's like our motto, is just get better daily. And that's what it is. We're there to compete as well as we can and to get better in the process, and learn as much as we can. And when we see those teams that are out there, we're real quick to point out, okay, yes, we can't do that, but what can we do to counter that? So for us, we just take it as a learning process, learning experience, and get better experience overall.
Well, like I told you, I like your team swag. To me, they walk into the gym, like you said, you don't have the group, the biggest group that's out there, but they walk and they don't back down. They're going looking to go to battle. Like, hey, that kid might be 6'8", but hey, I'm not 6'8", but I'm 6'8" in heart, and I'm gonna show you it. And that's one thing I loved about your team. I want to give you your flowers on. You're doing a great job coaching them up and get them to play and believe that, hey, they can play with and compete with anybody, and they show it. They show it on the court. They show how you play. They don't think they're going to lose any game, and I seen it firsthand. That's why I was like, hey, I got to get you on the show, because you're one of the coaches, like all the prior coaches. You're really, really, you can see that you're doing it the right way. You're teaching these guys, and because of you, I believe that not just San Antonio, but the surrounding area, basketball is so much better right now. I believe that. Again, I could be wrong. I've only been here for a short time, 7 years, and in my time, I just see the basketball landscape, and it's shifting. It's shifting, and it's shifting because of teams like yourself, coaches like yourself, and Coach Cantu's, and you guys are doing it the right way, to where as though you're not allowing, hey, because we're a small school, we got smaller players, not compared to the others, that, hey, we can't compete, and you're doing a great job. So thank you again. I want to make sure I give you your flowers.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna take them in a humble way. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, won't you tell us a little bit something about Del Rio that you want the audience, and just kind of just shed some light on out there what you guys are doing a little bit more.
As a basketball team, but we just try to stay busy. Try to stay busy in getting better and trying to work and getting better. And we know we're not going to win every game, but there's opportunities to get better out there. And we know the only thing we can do is compete as best as we can and grow from any experience that we have. We went 1-2 this past weekend, but I think in the learning aspect, for us, I think we probably went 3-0 when I'll take that victory, because the kids were talking themselves about things they needed to do. And once they get that intrinsic motivation, which is what we try to drive home, once they see, hey, you know what, yes, we're not that team and we're not as talented or as gifted or whatnot, but you know what, maybe we can compete a little better. And now it's on us. When that point gets driven home, I think it's a victory. It didn't show on the scoreboard or whatnot twice, but I'm gonna take that and let them run with it. And I think that's special. So hopefully they do. They hopefully they were hurt when they lost those 2 or 3 games. They were hurt when it hurt them when they lost to Cole last week, to yourselves, and we lost the game right after that. And um, I think it's really nice to see them taking ownership of the team and ownership of the team's success. And like I said, to me, just kudos to the kids for buying in, and that's what we're trying to do over here: get the kids to buy in, get the community to buy in, and say, you know what, basketball is not just another sport. We're a sport that can compete at a high level, and we're not just trying to keep kids busy. We're trying to teach them that no matter what, they can compete, and hopefully that goes with them the rest of their life. Just because you came from Del Rio doesn't mean you can't go out there and do something on the regional level or the state level or national level. It's in you if you allow it to be, and then if you work it out of you, it'll come. Work for it, and that's what we try to teach them. Work hard, play harder.
So, two things. First off, I like what you said about going 3-0 this weekend, because it's only a loss if you don't learn. It's only a loss if you don't learn. So you had 1 win and 2 learning opportunities. No losses. Secondly, can you talk a little bit about the importance of just like physical fitness for the athletes, and maybe talk a little bit about like what you guys do from like a physical training. Do you guys lift weights while you're at school? Do you encourage the guys to like go and work out when they're not on campus? Can you just talk a little bit about that, and maybe just a little bit about like maybe the weight training regimen or something that you guys do?
Yes, absolutely. For us, it's 4 days a week. We try to get in that weight room 4 days a week. We try to do we call it our strength and conditioning program, which probably everybody else does. We try to do 4 to 5 days a week. We do hit the weight room 4 days out of the week, and we do encourage them to take Sunday off. We tell them, hey, your body's got to recuperate, your body's got to rest, and we do encourage that Sunday just take it off. And if they must do anything, we do encourage a 2 to 3 mile jog, nice and easy jog. I tell them to take a jog where at my pace, which is not very fast. So I go, if you must do something on Sunday, just because the motor's kicking, or you just must, just go for a nice little run. But we do stay busy, we do stay active, and we try to get in that. We try to get in that gym early in the morning when we don't have access to because of the football. I tell you that a lot of them were amazed at the 6 courts that were in that Mission Concepcion this past weekend, and we don't have anything like that out here. So to be able to expose them to something like that is awesome for us as a coaching staff, is that now they're aware of what they're against. And I'm hoping that there's more buy-in from the younger kids into the strength and conditioning and open gyms, but not open gym to come and play, but just to come and put up shots. Hey, I'm going to open the gym for an hour and have you guys put up shots. Get the guns out, put in the work, and we do have the guys that are leading them through that. So we try to stay busy 6 days a week if we can.
Nice.
You mentioned younger guys. I'm a grassroots coach, AAU coach there, and I do believe in starting them young, or and me and Cody had a conversation in reference to when should you start them, and he mentioned something like he would say like 2nd or 3rd grade. What are you guys doing as far as that, as far as your middle school? I'm a middle school guy, so that's where I like to keep my focus in, because to me, like I always tell everybody, that's the first tryout for all basketball, because you as a high school coach, that's the first time you really get to see your younger guys play at the UIL, UIL level, because it's organized. So what are you guys doing for your 7th and 8th graders, and even your 6th graders? What are you doing to kind of get them ready so when you see them, there is a skill? Because I'm telling you, I know you mentioned you have a few underclassmen. I'm telling you, man, those guys can play. Those guys can play, and they're very skilled. And I noticed that happens a lot of the further out you move from San Antonio, teams become very skilled, and you're one of those guys. You shot the ball well, you moved in space real well, and you were always just trying to look for that edge. So what are you doing in the middle school level?
try to stay involved. We try to stay involved as much as possible. We try to visit the middle school as much as possible. And I was actually, for my first 7 years, was actually blessed as I had a middle school basketball class. For the first time in my tenure here, I don't have that middle school class this year. Just there's the difference in scheduling now. There's difference. The hours are different, so we weren't able to lock that class in. However, just staying available, staying present. There's some summer leagues and the Boys and Girls Club League over here that we like to just get out there and just be present and make ourselves known as the coaching staff. So, and the coaching staff has done a good job of knowing. I actually coached with I was the assistant to my assistant JV coach in the summer league, and we were coaching a first and second grade team. You know, we actually won a championship, and that was fun. We started the season, we lost our first 2 games, and the first thing I did was, "Hey man, is there a season-ending tournament or are we done?" And he goes, "No, there's a season-ending tournament." I said, "Okay, we're gonna win the whole thing when we come back." But we were getting those guys to play, those first and second graders to just start playing at I guess I would say a higher competitive level, and not just go out there and just to play. In the end, we came back and we beat a traveling team from here of first and second graders. So we were talking about basketball being out there more. There's a traveling team here that's first and second graders that I know of. There's another one that's third and fourth graders, and then there's another gentleman who started a league so his guys could play here in town. But I think they were out playing in South Carolina in the summer, you know. So there's a traveling team for every grade level, all the way down to first and second grade. So for me, that's just, I think, a blessing in disguise. That they'll be more skilled, more exposed to the basketball atmosphere, love it, and if they're going out and playing in different cities in San Antonio, if they're going out to South Carolina, they went out there by invitation, I think, and they were spotted at a tournament and they liked the way they played and they invited them out that way. And I think, to me, it's just gonna help the basketball culture here in Del Rio.
Well, I'm gonna give a shout out on your behalf there to the community of Del Rio. If you guys are doing those things, please make sure you get Coach Joe out there and involved, because again, that's like you said, it's going to only help you and then the community to have the success you're looking for, not just the wins and losses, of course, but then again to keep them busy and keep them doing something in a positive way to help grow the kids, to help grow that next generation. So kudos to you again, man. More flowers to you, Coach. Hey, man, you're doing it the right way. You're doing it the right way. Anything else for Coach?
No, just it was good, seeing you guys this past weekend, and looking forward to learning your story a little bit more. Looking forward to when the season kicks off in November officially. We'll be able to keep some eyes on you and see how you guys are doing, and also keep us in the loop. With what you have going on, we'd be happy to share it with our San Antonio community. Anything you have going on, any events, if you guys are ever looking for, pickup games or anything like that, any way that we can help bridge that gap,
And you're not that far out, Coach. We definitely will come out that way. So all I need is the invite. You tell me, hey, I got something special going on. Hey, man, we'll definitely right now, and I can lock you in and come out that way, and we'll definitely do a follow up if it's okay with you around. I'm thinking December, January time frame. That's probably midway. Getting ready for the you'll be playing district games at that time, so we'll definitely don't have a problem with coming out there checking you out.
I appreciate it, and you fellas, it's a humbling experience for you guys to extend the invitation out here and take notice of the work the boys are putting in, and I appreciate y'all for that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and sign off, Coach. Thank you again for allowing us to have this time, and like I said, we'll check back in around December, January time frame.
Sir, we'll be in touch. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right, bye bye.